to the Tournament Center. It's now day 2 of Pro Tour Geneva. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David-Marshall, and oh my God, were there some feature matches in round 8. That we just hung out in the feature match area. We'll bring you the play-by-play for all 3 matches. Spectacular. Take a look at the first one. Couple of superstars in Magic. Ben Rubin versus Katsuhiro Mori. Now, Ben Rubin's a guy, we mentioned this yesterday. What was the story with his trip here to Geneva? Can you tell that story?
Oh my gosh. So, people have been talking to me, you get a little chatter before an event about who's interested, who's excited, who's playtesting.
Yeah.
And Antonino DeRosa says to me, Ben Rubin has the fever. And he's going to play in every Pro Tour this year. He's really excited about playing Magic.
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. He's in the Year 3 Hall of Fame class. That makes this season number 10 for him. Probably had the best rookie year that didn't win Rookie of the Year ever.
Right, absolutely.
He finished second at 2 different Pro Tours in 97, 98. Didn't win Rookie of the Year. Some other guy won it. But he's just been consistently good ever since then. So he's got the fever. After all these years, he still just loves playing Magic.
And
so then what happens?
So he prepares for this event, goes to the airport to get his flight here, and his flight is delayed.
Okay.
And he screams and yells and throws 5 different kinds of hissy fits, and finally gets some flight to San Francisco with a connection from San Francisco to Frankfurt, and then from Frankfurt to Geneva. Some kind of, or I guess when he's going to get to Frankfurt.
But then he gets to San Francisco, he can't get to Frankfurt, he can get to London, and he manages to get to the continent.
Yes.
Then he manages to get to Frankfurt.
But then it's too late.
It's midnight.
It's midnight
Thursday night. The Pro Tour starts 9 o'clock the next morning.
And there's no flights. And there's no trains, because he tries everything.
It's midnight.
Tries planes, trains, what's left?
Automobiles?
He hires a taxi to drive from Frankfurt to Geneva to drive him 600 kilometers.
Yeah, that's the number I heard.
600 kilometers to get here. Gets stopped at the Swiss border by the Border Patrol because, well, the taxi driver didn't know he was going to be crossing any borders. He did not bring a passport. So somehow Ben manages to talk the border into letting the cab through. Costs him more money than his airplane tickets cost him.
600-kilometer cab ride, I would think so.
And gets here just in time for round 1.
Wow.
And he put up a pretty strong performance yesterday.
He went 5-1-1.
He went 5-1-1.
He's sitting here in the feature match area first thing this morning. He's 5-1-1. Katsu, a former Rookie of the Year, 2000, former world champion in 2005. Katsu was on 5-2, so the two of them duked it out. Crazy story with Ben. The match, unfortunately, not as kind to him as the taxi driver.
As the Border Patrol?
As the Border Patrol, there you go. Katsu, green deck, came just blistering out of the gates in the first game. Slivered into Herdnar, into Utabi Drake, smashing. Ben had a Plague Sliver he was trying to hold off with, but Utopia Val shut it down, and Katsu rolled him in the first game. Second game, Ben had a plan. He wasn't going to die to the early beats. Essence Warden. So, holding off the early beats, couldn't really deal with Stormbind. Couldn't really deal with Intet the Dreamer.
Oh, wow.
Katsu smashed
that's the Mind's Desire dragon, right?
Yeah, it is. Mind's Desire, 5/5 flying, 6/6 flying, plenty good enough.
6/6 flying,
Katsu
and
had some cards,
get some free spells.
So, awesome story with the cab, but Rubin's now 5-2-1. Katsuhiro is on 6-2, so they're both in contention.
Oh, absolutely.
And that was...
And either player's capable of putting up a run that'll get him into the top 8.
And that was the appetizer. The next feature match we're going to take a look at, the Undefeateds. 2 guys on top of the standings. Kenji Samura, former player of the year, undefeated on day 1, versus Takuya Usawa, Pro Tour Prague champion, level 6, undefeated on day 1.
And obviously the real deal.
Yeah.
Right,
really.
people always, I don't know why people have this tendency to want to dismiss someone, he won 1 Pro Tour, big deal. It's really hard to win a Pro Tour. And he's looking to repeat,
And these guys actually drafted next to each other. We talked a little bit about that yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely.
The draft, I was standing between the two of them, watching them both draft, and Kenji opens up his first pack, takes the Plague Sliver, goes on the Black Gambit. First pack, decides, you know what? He's looking at table 1. It's a bunch of undefeated players. He knows nobody's going to like black. So he moves in. He goes with the Black Gambit. Looks like he's getting paid off with a third pick, Tysus. But you watched the pack that got open. And I know we were teasing everybody yesterday. You've been wanting to talk about this pick the whole day. What was the pick that you saw? Who were you watching?
So we just had to exile Mike Ron from the feature match area so we could actually talk about this. We unfeatured this guy. He opens up a pack. Now, again, the smart money coming in was on blue, right? Everyone loves blue. Blue is good, red is good, green is good. That's the big news, right? Green is good now. Black is bad, white is bad. Micron opens a pack, and I was kind of surprised. One of the first cards he looked at in the pack was Temporal Isolation. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. He's like, then he looks at Tysus. Then he gets to Lava Axe, and Lava Axe goes to the front.
Right.
And then he gets to Teferi. Now, if black is bad, and blue is good,
and Teferi is
great, obviously the obvious pick here seems, exactly, right, exactly. But instead he took Tendrils of Corruption.
He took Tendrils of Corruption.
Over Teferi in an environment where black is bad and blue is good.
Wow. So you want to talk about the Black Gambit?
Yeah.
Micron was like, I'm in.
Now
this is the plan. Tendrils of Corruption.
The interesting
Tendrils over Tysus is interesting enough, but whatever.
We can argue about that. You can argue that. That's fine.
He's expecting to be mono black.
Maybe he thinks he'll table the Tysus. People tabled odder things this weekend.
So he ships Teferi.
To
go into black. For
right.
The black
which went to Willie Edel.
Yeah.
Who I think it ended up being stranded for Willie too. He ended up being green-white.
Oh, interesting.
But the interesting thing about Micron and the Wisconsin crowd, there's a bunch of guys here. They practiced a lot for this event. They put in, it sounds like, more work than a lot of the other teams I've talked to. And their conclusion about the format, they did the math and they carried the two and, they distilled it through, some tubing, and what dripped out into the beaker was black-white.
Wow.
Right? The two worst colors.
Wow.
And not because of some gambit.
Okay. They just liked the black-white with the rebel chain.
They just thought the black-white with the rebel chain was the most rewarding deck to draft and won the most drafts. Blue-green, two of the good colors, according to them, according to a number of other people, just doesn't win.
Huh. So Micron moves into black. Kind of hurts Kenji, because Kenji, I think, was totally going in on the gambit.
Sure.
Fran, 1-1 so far. He's actually playing Takuya Osawa this round. Takuya Osawa versus Kenji Sumura in round 8. First game, Kenji came out. There was just an ocean of Rich Hohen player cards sitting on the table. He got the double Cold Stoker draw, got Empty the Warrens, smash. Takes the first game, no problem at all.
I'm sorry to jump in, but so he's playing with Richie Hohen player cards?
Yeah. There's a 10% split with him, right?
And they are going to be a team for Grand Prix Amsterdam.
Oh, two-headed giant.
And for Grand Prix Massachusetts.
Are they playing San Diego together? Pro Tour San Diego?
I don't think they're going to play Pro Tour San Diego together.
But they're going to hit the Grand Prix.
But they are going to hit the Grand Prix together.
That is a scary two-headed giant.
it's really two of the absolute best limited players on the planet playing a limited two-headed format together.
So Kenji winds up with the speed red-black deck. Takuya Osawa's deck is plenty fast. He's got the white weenie with, he's got Knight of the Holy Nimbus. He's got multiple Banalish Cavalry. Just, got the awesome tempo curve. He's got the splash of blue for removal. Just the way you throw it up, blue-white weenie, right? But he gets rolled in the first game. Second game, though, Takuya comes out, Knight of the Holy Nimbus, Ivory Giant, tempos him out just the way he's supposed to. It comes down to the third game. Third game was pretty interesting because the draws kind of canceled each other out at the beginning. Takuya came out with the weenies, but Kenji had a removal-heavy draw, got a lot of his black removal spells, and so essentially they get to the mid-game and all they've done is trade cards. Now Kenji starts building up a pile of weenies, but Takuya wins this game with his sideboard. Went to his sideboard between games, and in came Jedit's Dragoon and another Jedit's Dragoon. And he hits this mid-game, and Kenji's got the weenies, and he's killed everything else, and then 2/5 Vigilance gain life, 2/5 Vigilance gain life, and Kenji was just reeling in his chair.
It's funny.
Two Jedit's Dragoons out of the sideboard, and that was it. That was the game.
The funny thing about that is Kenji's one of the big advocates of Jedit's Dragoons out of the sideboard in white weenie draft strategies.
Sure, these guys have talked about it.
He also wrote about it on Star City. So he's put that out. He's put that out there in a very public forum, and you see it happening all the time now.
It's totally the right play. Takuya went to the sideboard, found that was the answer, and now Takuya Osawa, congratulations, he's the only undefeated, untied player left in the tournament. Crazy.
You have to start putting him in your fantasy drafts for the Pro Tour.
But we're not done yet. Third feature match this round. Two of the consistently best limited players ever. These guys are constantly in the money. They're in the top 16. They're in the top 8. Rich Hohen, Johan Sadajpour. You want to know what's good in a limited format? These are the guys you go ask.
Johan, a lot of people... Johan's sort of under the radar for a lot of people. Not people who follow it closely, but like if you're sitting at home, you might not know his name. But I mean, this is a guy who play tests with Anton all the time.
He's got the same resume that Richie does, right? He's got one top 8 and then a million top 16, top 24.
He's always in the money. He's going to be the man responsible for bringing Anton Janssen back to the Pro Tour.
Oh, two-headed giant?
Yeah.
Nice.
He's bringing, he and Anton are going to be playing in San Diego together.
That's awesome.
He's a good guy, great player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these guys sit down to battle. Rich Hohen's got green-blue. He's got a touch of black for Vorosh the Hunter. Oh. Another dragon spotted in a feature match area.
That's the one that gets bigger?
Yeah, it was a 12-12. The first game, Sadagepor's got red-green, kind of a mid-speed with Pyrrhemia, a card I was talking about yesterday. Awesome card. So they trade. In the first game, Hohen's gets out the dragon. He attacks. It's a 12-12. But it's one of those holy Pakula moments because Sadagepor just goes Penumbra Spider. Attack with everybody. And all of a sudden, Hohen's like, it's the other way around. I mean, he's taxing.
It's moment's peace with buyback.
Yeah, being able to chump block the dragon twice meant he's got Stonebrow, he's got a bunch of guys, and Rich, he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The 12-12 dragon, but just one lonely Penumbra Spider stalled the game long enough. Pyrrhemia came down, finished Rich off. And,
that's why a lot of people have Penumbra Spider over Dirkwood Baloff in their green pick order.
Really?
Yeah, it's a really, I mean, I guess it really depends on the deck you're drafting, but.
Okay. So, game 1 to Sadagepor. Game 2. Wow, you were watching Game 2. This game was crazy.
Game 2 was, the players had a little bit of a time extension from a deck check earlier in the thing, and time was taken. Everyone else in the tournament was done.
Yeah.
And when I walked over, there was just a sequence of playing cards in play, which the only action Rich seemed to have was
ton of lands.
A ton of lands and worm coiling with buyback.
There you go.
And these two players were just attritioning each other and sending stuff in.
Rich just kept making worms, but Johan
had
Magus of the Scroll
and Stonebrow.
He had Stonebrow, so he got in some damage, but it was clear that he couldn't attack. He was just throwing everything that he possibly could at Richie's head. It was actually this one awesome moment where Johan blocks a worm and there's like 1 point of damage on a 3/3 worm token, and Johan goes to Magus.
Yeah,
Richie picks up the 3/3 and puts it in the grave. Goes to the token away, and Johan's like, no, you.
Yeah.
Because Hohen knew that the only way Johan was going to win was to go straight to the head with the Magus.
Absolutely.
Johan knew it. Rich is trying to trick him, but you can't trick Johan.
And Rich is holding strength in numbers the whole time.
Right.
And
Johan was blocking really intelligent because he kept trading like actual cards for worm tokens.
I'm sure these guys talked about their decks to each other when they were done drafting.
Yeah, maybe. Probably.
I mean, the information that they can get about everyone else at the table is more valuable than whatever they might give up to each other.
So you talk about sideboards card, by the way. Johan brought in Monfoley Acid Moss for that match. Oh. He wanted to take out the one swap to turn off the dragon. He winds up, in a worm coiling battle, taking out a land, picking up another land was perfectly reasonable.
It was really reasonable. And one of the reasons Rich was kind of at a loss for what to do, it didn't have a lot of action, is he was holding sideboard cards.
Sure.
He had sideboarded in Molder for the Pyrrhemia.
Okay.
Which is just a card he can't deal with otherwise. So he was kind of stuck on that.
Another sideboard card, I thought Johan had the game because Wormwood Dryad came off the top of his deck.
Right.
Hohen was at 6. Here comes Wormwood Dryad off the top, gets in for one hit, and then Rich just went berserk.
Right, Rich just played a bunch of guys.
He's like, all right, he's been in the worm coiling plan for so long, he's like, guy, and then I saw the morph come down as the last guy. And it was pretty interesting. The morph comes down as the last guy, and it has to be Shaper Parasite or he's dead. And,
And he just drew it that turn.
Oh, really?
He just drew it that turn.
Yeah, he shifts the turn to Johan. Johan had actually chosen to Magus of the Scroll a Herdnar because he figured the only way he could possibly lose was, a bunch of guys, Herdnar strength of numbers.
Remember, he actually probably could do the math on it. Rich had enough mana in play that he can make a worm coiling token for 1 with buyback.
Yep.
Worm coiling for 1.
Okay.
Give his Herdnar +4/+4.
Okay.
And attack with everybody. And that should, I think, was
I saw Johan
just
do a bunch
difference.
of math. So he had the option to go scroll you, and assuming I live to untap again, scroll you for the win. He wouldn't have needed the
But he couldn't
Dryad.
take that chance.
And he didn't. He scrolled the Herdnar because he didn't want to take that chance. He figures now he's still got to deal with my Wormwood Dryad. Richie top deck Shaper Parasite, passes the turn. Johan's doing the math. He's getting ready to attack with his Dryad, and Hohen just looks at him and says, unless you have action, you're dead.
See, I thought that was actually really interesting because, again, there's two really experienced players. We talked yesterday about a match with Frank Karsten and Jürgen Hahn. And Jürgen Hahn's an experienced player, but maybe a little rusty.
Yeah.
And they could have moved a little more swiftly.
Right.
To get to a game 3.
For game 3.
Rich wanted game 3. Neither of these guys wanted a tie.
He just shows him, I've got strength of numbers. This is a Shaper Parasite.
And he's
you're
like,
dead. Unless you have a business card.
And if Johan showed him an answer, Rich would have scooped.
Yeah.
And they would have just moved on. It was really, really interesting.
Yeah, that
really,
turn could
really
have
professional,
5 minutes.
expedient way to end the game. Let's just play Magic and figure out who wins this round.
And so they go to game 3.
Game 3 was really interesting, actually.
I thought so too. I love the part where Johan stumbling a little bit on mana in the beginning. He's got like a thick-skinned goblin. He can't get the
Well, he leads off with a Magus of the Scroll and a thick-skinned goblin.
Yes.
And what I thought was really interesting is Rich Hohen, I'm looking at his hand and I'm sort of calculating. It's like, okay, he's going to play this guy on turn 3, this guy on turn 4. And then a couple turns later, he's going to be able to get Worm Coiling online. No.
Turn 2,
he just turn 2 Worm Coilings for 1.
That was good. I like that play.
And it held back the thick-skinned goblin.
Exactly.
It saved him
a ton of
probably 6 damage over the course of the next couple turns.
Right. So Johan's got the thick-skinned goblin being held off by the 1/1 token, and he can't find his 4th mana. He's holding Sting Scourger, but he doesn't want to lose it, so he just plays. He gets 3 mana. He finally bounces the token, plays the Sting Scourger, comes, next turn he still doesn't have the mana, puts it in the graveyard, and Hohen just looks at him. He's like, "We're so bad," because he points to the thick-skinned goblin, which shuts off everybody's Echo costs.
Oh my gosh!
So you have the option to pay Echo if you want to. You have the option to not pay Echo if you want to.
Right.
Sting Scourger didn't have Echo.
Right.
He had thick-skinned goblin.
And Rich was like, I just should have attacked into that.
Right, Rich forgot, and Johan forgot, so Rich should have attacked, but if Johan was going to forget, then Rich's forget works out great.
Yeah, Rich's forget almost works out better, like, oh, I can't attack because that's going to the graveyard, and it kind of puts that impression on it.
And then Rich gets to do the psychological, you just killed a guy you didn't need to bury. So, I thought Hohen had the game there, like psychologically, how does Johan recover from that, right?
Probably if he draws some land in Pyrrhemia.
He landed Pyrrhemia, that was pretty much it. Yeah, the game basically stabilizes. Pyrrhemia comes down. Johan had a slight life advantage, and he just bled him to death with Pyrrhemia.
It was actually really interesting. Richie dug for his Molder with a wood readers.
Right.
And had the mana to wipe away his wood readers and replay it and try to find it again.
Right.
Right? Because the Molder, the Pyrrhemia was the defining card right there at that point. But his 1/4 was holding back the 2/4 Spider, which was sort of getting in for the difference in damage that Pyrrhemia was doing.
Right.
And what Richie was hoping is, all right, I'll block with the Spider, I'll block with the Wood Readers, you'll pump to kill my guy, I will wipe away my guy.
And then bye-bye Pyrrhemia.
And then
there's no creature left in
play. No, the Spider will still be in play. The 2/4 Spider will still be there.
Okay.
But then he'll, hopefully draw the Molder, gain some life. Johan had, and this is a card we talked about yesterday, is this card good, is this not good? He had Utopia Vow. And the Utopia Vow just shut down that plan. He couldn't. He just couldn't take the damage. He was at 8 or 9, and he just couldn't take the damage from the Spider, and he had to wipe away the Spider, which was really a desperate play, but that's the only play he had at that point.
I was thinking about the previous turn where Johan attacked. It was an attack block situation, and Johan could have tried to Pyrrhemia away the guy, gotten the Spider back, but then he would have lost the wipe away.
Then he would have lost the
wipe
away for sure.
He didn't even go for it.
Yep.
Really smart play. Just
two
awesome
great players.
Playing a great game of Magic,
and showing even that great players can sort of, they can miss stuff, and when you miss stuff, we've talked about this all. You shake it off, and you draw your good cards, and you win.
Result of the story: Johan Sadejpour wins 2-1. Johan now 7-1 on the weekend.
Great record.
Picks up loss number 2. He's sitting on 6-2. Still plenty of room to make a run today.
Sure. For his traditional top 16 finish.
Exactly. So that's the story from round 8. We got 7 rounds of this left.
That's exciting. A couple more drafts to watch.
It's a good day. 7 rounds of Magic left to find out who's going to be in the top 8, who's going to play on Sunday. We'll be doing the comments. Who's it going to be? We'll find out. Stay tuned to the Tournament Center. We're bringing you more coverage of Day 2 of Pro Tour Geneva all day.